Okay, before I went offline there with my phone, let me do a little more reading where I left off. From the 9/11 synthetic terror made in the U.S. Now with the 46 drills of 9/11 by Webster Griffin Tarpley, 5th edition. Introduction, middle of the introduction. A key feature of this study... Oh, I already read that part. Oh yeah, I was stuck on this long word. Let's just read this whole paragraph. I therefore contend that the more reliable conceptual model for understanding terrorism is one that situates the secret intelligence agency or factions thereof in the center of the process, recruiting prospective terrorists from the immiserated masses and forming them into clandestine organizations like Al-Qaeda, like ISIS, like Hamas, that was created by Mossad. All deep state actors. There's no real terrorisms. It's all created synthetically. Okay, he says that right here. Going on. Okay, these clandestine organizations, which are henceforth subject to guidance from outside, behind, and above. High-profile international terrorism is not spontaneous. It is artificial and synthetic. It requires expert terrorist controllers. Because of this, the starting point for realistic appraisals of 9/11 is not primarily the sociology of the Middle East, but rather the historical record of NATO and CIA state-sponsored terrorism in Western Europe and elsewhere in the post-World War II period. For it is here, and surely not in some distant cave in the Hindu's Kush, that we can find the methods and personnel which produced 9/11. If the term grotesque originally meant something that came out of a cave, we can justifiably dismiss the official explanation of 9/11. Bin Laden, with his laptop in an Afghanistan cave, as the grotesque theory of terrorism. Synthetic terrorism is a strategy used by oligarchs for the purpose of waging war on the people, particularly on the middle class, in Machiavelli's sense of popolo. Terrorism must therefore be opposed. My own understanding of these events is informed by having experienced firsthand, as analyst, journalist, and author, the Italian and German terrorism of the 1970s and 80s. In June 1978, while working as a correspondent in Rome, I was contracted by Giuseppe Zamberletti of the Italian Christian Democratic Party. The kidnap murder of former Italian Prime Minister Aldo Moro had reached its tragic climax in May 1978, when Moro's body was found in the trunk of a car in Via Caetani in downtown Rome, 3 blocks from my office at the time. Zamberletti had been one of the very few Italian political leaders who had suggested a NATO role in the attack on Moro. 2 days after Moro was kidnapped and his bodyguards murdered, Zamberletti attracted the attention of the British press, which wrote that Signor Zamberletti, an intelligent Christian Democrat who has worked as Deputy Interior Minister in charge of the Italian Secret Services, made a number of interesting comments about NATO. It seems that Zamberletti said that de Gaulle left NATO because of the dozen of assassination attempts against him, and that France, after that, and by implication as a result of that, had succeeded in keeping terrorism under control. That's from the Times London from March 17, 1978. In another interview, Zamberletti said that an effective defense against terrorism would have to be vigilant in all directions, 360 degrees, as he put it. This is from Panorama, July 4th, 1978. Here was de Gaulle's celebrated formula of defense, tous azimuts. I don't know how to say that, but it's French. Against nominal allies as well as adversaries, West as well as East, US and UK as well as USSR. With this, Zamberletti became the target of the Anglo-American Party in Italy. Zamberletti asked me to prepare a study of how the mass media had treated the Moro case, which had been the dominant news story for 2 months. I gathered a group of friends and co-workers from the Executive Intelligence Review, the EIR news agency I was working for at the time, and told them of the proposal. Out of a desire to defeat the nightmare, the nightmare of terrorism and provide justice for Moro, most of them Italians and a couple of Americans, volunteered to spend their month-long summer vacation assembling the study that Zamberletti had requested. No money was ever involved. The more we worked, the more we found, and soon our study, entitled, I can't read it, it's in Who Killed Aldo Moro, it's in another language, Chi ha ucciso Aldo Moro, I guess that's Italian, had grown. He speaks fluent Italian and other languages. The writing was done during the summer of 1978 in what was then the EIR European headquarters in the Scharstenstraße in Germany, in Wiesbaden, Germany. That's a super long word. Not far from Frankfurt Airport. Okay. That's all, kids. Gotta go to work.